Matt Scott, and I'm a freelance trombone player and teacher in the Atlanta area. The first thing I'd like to talk about with this etude is breathing. Now, when we're talking about breathing, the first thing we do, obviously, is inhale. Now, with the inhale in this etude, there's really two things I'd like to focus on. One, breathing in time, and two, taking a long enough inhale to where we're able to breathe from the bottom of our lungs, which go about to the bottom of our rib cage, rather than what I see a lot of young players do is breathe from their chest or breathe from their throat. Now, if the etude is about this speed, I would like to take about 3 beats to breathe before I even play a note. So it's going to look something like this. Now, the benefit of breathing in time is you have a great sense of pulse before you even play a note. And a benefit of breathing over 3 counts is the fact that you have, like I said before, long enough to where you can breathe from down here. Now, if you're not entirely sure where you're breathing from, listen to the sound of your breath. If it sounds a little bit high-pitched, kind of like this, then most likely you're breathing from your upper chest or you're breathing from your throat. You want to get a nice low tone to your breath and have it almost be inaudible, again like this. Next, let's talk about the exhale. Now, with the exhale, there are 3 things that I like to focus on. I like to focus on keeping it relaxed, which we talked about with the inhale. I like to focus on keeping it direct, and one way I like to work on that is I like to imagine that there's a target on the opposite wall, and my air is trying to hit that target. And the third thing is I like to focus on keeping it consistent. Any inconsistencies, bumps, or waves in the air is going to immediately show up in our sound. Next, what I'd like to talk about is slide technique. Now, if you have no idea what slide technique is, all it means is getting the slide, the air, and the tongue to all line up. One thing I hear a lot in some young players is a sound kind of like this. Where you get a little bit of that wah, wah, wah slide noise in there. Now, one way to work on this is to go and take this whole etude and gliss it. Only articulate the beginning of every phrase. Move your slide as quickly as possible at the last possible moment. Once you've done this and you feel comfortable with it, add the tongue back in. This should eliminate that wah noise and give you more of this. Now, while you're glissing, one thing that you might find is there are some notes that come out as though they're being articulated and you're not using your tongue at all. What these are called playing over the break or playing against the grain. You might find this in the G to F in bar 1 or the G to E flat in bar 2. These are really, really important to trombone players to smoothing out a lyrical or a legato line. So what I like to tell my students is go and gliss this entire etude, find all the spots where these over the break notes are, and mark OTB in between these notes, which means over the break. Utilize these as much as you can and try to get your articulated notes that you're using the tongue with to sound just like these. And the final thing I'd like to talk about is I'd like to talk about phrasing or expression. Now, GMEA has done a really great job this year of putting in crescendos and decrescendos and ritardandos and being very specific as to what they want. So it's very important, first of all, to find our softest and our loudest written dynamics, which our softest, we have pianos in several places, in bar 1, in bar 5, and in a couple other places, in addition to the forte that we have in the second line being the loudest dynamic. The reason we like to do this is because we don't want our mezzo fortes to be too loud to where we kind of put ourselves at a point where we don't want to be for our forte. And the last thing is to really focus on the ritardando at the end, making it as natural and organic sounding as possible. We want to really make sure that we're not doing anything out of characteristic for the piece. Now, go have fun and good luck in your auditions.